Hello, sir. Happy
Guys are looking good. Danny looks really comfortable there. Ava looks like she's ready to take some notes.
And you do, Marianne, you do realize you're in California, so the time zone.
No, 14th is Thursday.
Hello, sir. How's everything in California?
Hello, Master Potter. Everything is really good. How about for yourself?
We had a very nice day today. It's our first day of having in-person classes since March 16th. I guess actually March 14th, last time we had in-person classes. So we've had a couple people come into class and still zooming it at the same time. So it's been nice to get back to being in front of students again.
Outstanding. Very cool. Good. Well, good to see you. Happy to be here tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here.
You bet. Did you want me just to get started?
Hold on just one moment. Let me find out if Senior Master Potter is going to be joining us.
Okay, good enough.
I'm here.
Oh, I didn't see you sitting on our couch.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Good.
It's been a long time.
So, Senior Master Potter, you want Coach to go ahead and get started?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. Good. Well, thank you guys for, exciting that you guys are opening back up. We're looking forward to being able to do that pretty soon as well. So first off, I just want to commend you guys on your continued martial arts quest. You guys are so lucky that first off, you have these amazing instructors in school to train at, and then you have the support of your families. And no one ever regrets long-term martial arts training. And so I know it's been an adjustment for a lot of people not to be able to be actually in the school. But here's what we've noticed. And Senior Master Potter, you might be able to verify this, and we've seen this quite a bit, is that our students have actually in some ways gotten better because we've really had to focus on being brilliant in the basics. And so tonight, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you all a bit about what I'm going to refer to as the martial arts mindset. And these are kind of the things that we learn on the mat. Maybe you didn't hear it in this exact way, but all the stuff I'm going to talk about is stuff that you guys learn on the mat, but how you can really apply it to everyday life as well. And so one of the things that's really important to understand is that, we can't, as you know, this time, COVID-19 really proves that you can't control your environment, but what you can control is what you focus on and where you take action, what action steps you take. And that can really influence the outcome of things. And that's really what we have right now. But I want to start out by sharing a story with you. I had a lady her name was Terry Poxon, and Terry trained with me for 20 years. And about 10 years into her training, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And she continued to train after the diagnosis, and over the next decade, as her body deteriorated, her spirit just became stronger. She was amazing. She was a warrior. And I remember one time about 5 years after her diagnosis, she was sitting down after class. She was having a hard time moving. Her arms were kind of stuck. And man, I felt so bad for her. She was clearly in pain. And I walked up to her. I didn't know what to do. So I said, Terry, is there anything you can do to make it better? And she looked at me and she said one of the most profound things I've ever heard. As a matter of fact, I hear her words in my head almost every day. She said, Dave, I know I can make it better because I can make it worse. I know I can make it better because I can make it worse. I want you to think about the honesty and the power of that statement and think about how you can apply it to virtually any area. I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you guys know that you can make your health worse if you really wanted to? Raise your hand if you could. Right? Okay, so absolutely. So if you can make it worse, then that means you can make it better. How many of you guys know you could make your relationships worse if you wanted? Right? Well, then by default, you can't just have it one way. If you can make something worse, you can make it better. And once we understand the power of this, man, a whole world of opportunity opens up to us. Bottom line is you change your perspective and your life changes completely with you. And that's what I want to kind of talk to you about tonight. See, the way we view the world, we all have a series of mindsets or beliefs about how the world works and how we work in it. Unfortunately, most of us don't choose our mindsets. Our mindsets choose us. We get them from the environment we are raised in, or maybe the education we receive, or the experiences we have. And some of our mindsets are powerful and they serve us well, and others not so much. For example, let's imagine that you're in 3rd grade and you're transferred to a new school in the middle of the school year. And unbeknownst to you, the very first day of school, you're asked to run a foot race with 2 other kids in the school. And you didn't know it, but these are the fastest 2 kids in all of 3rd grade. And you go on that race and you come in a distant 3rd place. Your view of your running skills would have been completely different if you were to been paired off with 2 of the slowest kids in 3rd grade and you ended up becoming in 1st place easily. And these are the kind of experiences that really shape the trajectory of our life. But unfortunately, they're not always based in reality. So for example, my mom is 93 years old. And when she was in 1st grade, she was told during choir, don't sing too loud and stand in the back of the group because you don't have a very good voice. And so that became a mindset, a belief that she had the rest of her life, to the point to when I was growing up, I never remember her singing, right, at all. My dad was a lead singer in a big band in the 40s and 50s, and then he sang in a barbershop quartet group. So he sang all the time. My mom almost never. Up until about 3 years ago, when dementia took away most of her memory and all of her inhibitions. Now she sings all the time. But here's what's interesting. This is why I share it with you. She's actually got a pretty good voice. But she missed out on 86 years of singing because of something someone told her one time when she was 6 years old. So once again, some of our mindsets are powerful and serve us well, others not so much. I'm going to take you through about 10 mindsets today. And as we go through these, what I want you to do is I want you to think, yeah, I do that, right? And kind of hopefully give yourself a pat on the back that you think like this. And there's a couple of them, you might be neutral. They might not really speak to you, but there's going to be 1 or 2 of these when you hear them and you go, yeah, I need to do a little better job with that. And those are maybe the challenge that I'm gonna give you at the end of this lesson. So what I did is because of the COVID-19, usually I have some young millennial around that can help me with my computer, and I've had to do everything myself. So I promoted myself to Yellow Belt 2 tips in technology, and I actually built a PowerPoint for this presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you guys. You're going to be very impressed. So here's the very first mastery martial arts mindset. I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. Once again, I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. Let me explain what I mean by that. So I'm amazed by the disconnect that really smart people have to their level of success and happiness and how they treat their body. The bottom line is that there's a direct connection. There's an Indian proverb that goes like this: those who have their health have 1,000 goals, those that don't have but one. And the bottom line is that everything else stems off of this. If you want to be, I don't know about any of you guys, but I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better boss, I'm a better instructor when I'm feeling good about myself. And one thing is that we owe it to our community and to our family to be at our very best. So that's why, of course, what does that mean exactly? We try to eat, at least as clean as we can, exercise on a regular basis, get enough rest, manage our stress, all those things that we kind of instinctually know what we should be doing. And I'm not going to tell you how to eat or how much rest you should get or what kind of exercise, of course, besides martial arts, which of course we know we got to get. But I will tell you that kind of in your gut if you're doing it right. And if you are, thumbs up. If not, what little things can you do better? Because here's the deal. There's a lot. I see several kids, several young people, that are listening in. And the habits you develop now are the ones you're gonna have until you're older. And if you can develop good habits now, they will serve you well. You see, with good habits, time is your ally. And with bad habits, time is your enemy. So one time I had this boy, his name was Justin, and Justin trained with me from the time he was 7 years old till the time he was 18 when he was going away to college. And I'll never forget, right before he was going away to college, he came in and he said, Mr. Kovar, you haven't gotten rid of me yet, sir. I'm going to be back every holiday. I'm going to train over the holidays. And then every summer I'll be back into school. And then I didn't see him again for 12 years. And he came in, now he's about 30 years old, and he's just this monster of a guy. He's really tall, he's pretty thick, and it took me a second to recognize him. And it's like, oh, Justin, and we shook hands, and I go, what brings you back here? He goes, sir, I was in my best years were at the martial arts school, and I was in the best shape ever, and I want to get in better shape. And I took a look at him, and he was by no means like super overweight, but he was a pretty big guy. And I go, man, you look good. And he goes, sir, I put on 60 pounds since I left, and I took a look at the direction I was going, and I didn't like where I was headed. And I realized I needed to reboot. And what he meant is that, okay, here I am, where am I going to be in 10 years if I keep doing these same habits? And that's what I would challenge you. Do the current habits that you have when it comes to health, are they in line with where you want to be? If so, great. If not, what little tweaks, what things could you do to improve them a little bit? Okay, so that's the very first one. Now, the second tip power on my PowerPoint is I can always do more than I think I can. I can always do more than I think I can. So here's the deal. Any black belts here? Raise your hand if there's some black belts here. Okay, so you can put your hand back down. I'm going to pick on Nick. Okay, Nick, was it easy to get your black belt? No. Did you ever have a time when you doubted you could do it? Yeah, me too. Lots of times. Okay, but here you are. You got it, right? And there's going to be times in your life, every one of us is going to doubt our ability to accomplish things, right? Which is natural. But the next time you have something going to your head like, oh man, I don't know if I can do it, just remember, I can always do more than I think I can. I got a quick story to share with you. Actually, I have a lot of them, it sounds like, right? But a while back, there's this beautiful park by my house. And if I run from my house around the park and back, it's exactly a 5K. Anyway, a while back, I'm running, I'm about halfway through, and I'm just not feeling it, man. I've got a side ache, my ankle hurts, I'm dragging, nothing's working right. And I'm really thinking, I don't think I can do this. I just don't think I can run today. Maybe I should just walk. And by the way, it would not have been the end of the world if I walked. It would have been fine. But all of a sudden, so I'm contemplating if I can do this anymore. And I look on a trail. My trail's about to merge with another one in about 50 yards. And I realize there's someone else running on the other trail. And if I keep going the exact same pace as I'm running now, we're going to end up being on that trail at the exact same moment, which is not that big of a deal. But now I'm faced with this decision. Do I speed up or slow down? And of course, the fragile male ego in me, I speed up, right? So I run along and all of a sudden I'm ahead of him and we're on the same trail now. And now I'm faced with this next dilemma. Now, because he's going pretty fast. Do I either let him pass me, which is not the end of the world, or do I keep this pace going? And of course, what did I decide to do? I decided I'm going to keep this pace going. So I was able to stay ahead of him, and I actually had the best time I ever had running around the park. But why I share this with you? Because I was about to give up, right? And all of a sudden, boom, you can always do more than you think you can. So I would challenge you guys, when you're thinking about giving up on something, this is especially important with you guys that are striving towards black belt, because there's going to be times when you wonder if you're going to be able to do this or not, okay? And I heard an interview from an ultra marathoner, a guy that runs 100-mile races. Someone asked him, they go, hey, do you ever give up? Do you ever want to give up? He goes, let me tell you, I've given up a lot of times on races. I just make sure I keep my feet moving. Right. So the idea is, he kept going. Right. So the next one now, the third mastery mindset is, this challenge will make me stronger. This challenge will make me stronger. So this is targeted especially towards you younger people that are listening in right now. And that is right now what we're dealing with is definitely the biggest challenge that most people of any generation have gone through, certainly as a society. But here's what's interesting. When you guys that are young and you don't maybe have a lot to lose yet, this is really an amazing opportunity for you to learn to gain so much wisdom. See, what is wisdom? It's experience remembered. It's having experiences and remembered what's going on so you can learn from it. My father, who's also still alive, who's 97, he grew up in the Depression in the 1930s. And actually, his dad was out of work and his mom cleaned houses part-time. And for about 3 years, they lived on cabbage soup because that's all they could afford to feed their kids. And that experience, although as how terrible as it was, it shaped him into a person who believed in hard work, understood the value of saving money, really appreciated life a lot. And so this is going to be for a lot of you guys. If you make it so, this challenge will make you stronger. See, challenges can either build you up or break you down. It's really your perspective and how you deal with it. So next time you find yourself thinking, oh man, I don't know if I can get through this, remind yourself, you're going to get through this and you're going to be better off for it. And by the way, most of you guys have given advice to a friend before when they're having a hard time. You said, you know what, you'll get through this. You're going to be okay. You'll be stronger for it. Anybody given advice like that to a friend before? Probably you have, right? So we all have, but it's different when it's us, right? Well, this is you reminding yourself that. And what that does, that just objectifies the situation and makes it a little easier to deal with. This next one's really important. I remain calm even in challenging situations. I remain calm even in challenging situations. So what does that mean exactly? Well, first off, do we have any instructors here in the class? Somebody that helps out with classes? All right, I'm going to pick on whoever. It's Bridget, but I'm guessing that's your mom. What is your name, sir? I've met you before. Haven't I? No. Okay. What is your name?
Oliver.
Oliver. Okay. Well, Oliver, have you ever helped with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Does it ever help to lose control of your emotion when you're working with that age group?
Absolutely not.
No, what'll happen? They will eat you alive, right? I mean, they will rip you up if you do that, Oliver, right? So you know, okay, man, you're starting to lose those kids like I've had plenty of times. You got to take a breath and be calm, or you're going to lose control of them, right? Well, so the key thing, thank you, sir. The key thing is to use everyday adversity as a way to develop mental toughness. Like use small things like that to work on being calm. For example, if you guys have ever had a puppy and maybe you forgot to put the garbage away, and all of a sudden you walk around the corner and there's trash all over the kitchen, all over the place, right? By the way, that happened 15 minutes ago. The puppy's in the other room. It doesn't even remember. You have a couple choices. One, you can get all mad, stomp around, holler and yell, okay, and then clean up the mess, or you can take a breath and clean up the mess. So being angry doesn't help. Do you understand? It doesn't do anything to help, right? So that's an example, because if you can do it in a little thing like that, then when something major comes along, you're used to being calm. So what I try to do is I try to use irritations. I'm having a hard time with my computer. Maybe someone's, that I meet as being negative, whatever. That's when I try to practice being calm then. There's a phrase in samurai. It's called Fudoshin. Excuse me for 1 second. Fudoshin, roughly translated, means immovable mind. Immovable mind. What does that mean exactly? The best example I could give you is a first responder. Let's imagine that there's a fire. You go outside and there's this big building across the street that's burning, and people are panicking and screaming, and there's fear everywhere. By the way, fear is contagious. But guess what else is contagious? Courage is contagious, and so is being calm. Okay? So all of a sudden, the fire truck pulls up, and out pops this old fire captain that's been on the job for 32 years. He's been here plenty of times before. He steps in, takes a breath, assesses the situation, and calmly starts directing traffic. And pretty soon everybody falls into line, right? Now that's a major ordeal. But how do you get to have that Fudoshin, that immovable mind? Once again, you start with little things. So the next time you're in line at the grocery store and the line's going slow, right? And you're in a hurry to get out of there, that's when you practice being calm. You take a breath and being calm, and practice being calm. And that now all of a sudden is actually a gift, right? The next one is I deflect negative energy. This is super important right now. What does it mean to I deflect negative energy? So there's a great quote that goes like this: stand guard at the door of your mind. And what that means is be careful with, how much bad stuff you're letting in. What do I mean by that? Here's the bottom line. If you're watching 3 or 4 hours of news a day, I promise you it's not helping your psyche. It's not helping you, right? So I'm not saying you shouldn't know what's going on in the world. You certainly should know what's going on in the world, right? Keep track of what's going on. But you can get that in small chunks, right? It doesn't take 3 or 4 hours to get that, right? And so what happens is that if we spend too much time in that, it'll kind of mess with us, right? So last week I was speaking with a friend of mine who runs a martial arts school in the Midwest. He's the kind of guy that if your car broke down, he'd pull over, stranger or not, and he would do whatever he needed to do to help this person get to safety, right? He's just that kind of guy. But he also is a glass half empty guy. He's very pessimistic, okay, and very negative about a lot of things. And so I called him up, checked on him, and after talking with him for about 10 minutes, man, I hung up the phone. I was so depressed, I wanted to go stick my head in the hole. He was talking about all this stuff, right? I realized, whoa, I got to make sure not to let his negativity affect me. And so that's why I remember, do you remember when ever hearing I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you? Well, actually, it's pretty good advice. And that is the next time, if anybody ever spews negativity your way, do the best you can to not accept it. Okay. They're kind of having a bad day. Let me give you an example. I'm going to pick, let me see, who am I going to pick on this time? Nick. I'm going to pick on Nick just because he's ready to go. All right, Nick. So you and I are driving. Do you drive, Nick? Are you old enough to drive? No. Okay. Well, one of these days you're going to be old enough to drive. And let's just imagine you and I are driving down the street in separate cars, and you cut me off in traffic. How I respond to you is really going to be based more on my mindset, more than if you cut me off. For example, if I just lost my dog and my job, okay, of the same day, and I loved my dog and job, I'm going to probably respond to you differently than if I just won a $10 million lottery. You see the difference, right? But you don't know which way. You only know I responded with gratitude and I was gracious, or I was irritated, okay? So next time, once again, someone spews negativity your way, do the best you can just not to accept it. By the way, easy to say, hard to do, but it's worthy of the challenge, okay? And that way, once again, you're doing your best not to let other people around you kind of get to you. And this is especially important right now with everything that's going on. So the reverse of I deflect negative energy is I accept positive energy. And what does that mean? A couple things. So first and foremost, what are you guys doing on a regular basis? That's one of the reasons why you guys love training, I'm sure, in martial arts. All right. And not just the fact that the Potters and team are such amazing instructors. It's the fact that also when you leave, you just got this positive vibe, man. Everybody's making you feel better. Right. And so, by the way, how many guys ever didn't feel like coming to class? You really didn't want to go to class, but you knew you should. And so you went anyway. How do you feel at the end of class? You're always glad you did. You're always glad you did. So remember, next time you wonder, should I go to class or not? Remember how you feel at the end of class. You're always glad you did. So anyway, back to I accept positive energy. The concept with this is remember, it's important that you go places where you get inspiration. What do you read that gives you, that inspires you? What podcasts do you read that could you listen to, right? What people do you talk to? But the bottom line is that when you try to search out positive environments, you're going to be more productive and you're going to enjoy yourself a lot more. Here's what's interesting. What makes people unhappy, okay, is one of two things: regret for the past or fear of the future. So like right now, a lot of people are having a real hard time because they're thinking, oh, I should have prepared better. Oh, I should have prepared better. Or they're worrying about what might happen in 6 months or a year from now, right? And by the way, we should take as much action as we can to make sure that we're setting our life and our future on the right path. But in the meantime, if you're in the moment taking action, then you can still, even though it's a challenging time, you can still find little things to be happy. So the other thing is, if somebody ever gives you a compliment, it's important that you accept it. That's the accept positive energy. Someone gives you a compliment, you simply say thank you, because what they're doing is they're giving you a gift, right? And by thanking them, you're letting them know you appreciate it, so to speak. So seems pretty basic, but it's so important. Okay, the next one. My word is law. My word is law. Let me explain what that one means. How many guys ever heard a kid say, "You're not the boss of me"? Has anybody ever heard a kid say that before? Right? Okay. So, and we get it. So who's the boss of us? I see Justin. All I saw was your hand, Justin, but I did. All right, there you go. Now I see a little more. There you go, man. So we've all heard someone say, "You're not the boss of me," but who's the boss of you? Most of you guys like to say you're the boss of you, right? But here's the deal. You ever had that voice in your head, in your ear says, "Oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I don't want to." Has anybody ever heard that voice before? Okay. If you give in to that voice, you're not the boss of you. Okay. The I don't want to's and I don't feel like it's are the boss of you. So my word is law refers to sticking to your commitments, right? Doing what you're supposed to do. And by the way, not just your commitments with other people, but with yourself. How many guys ever have a friend that that you like them, but they're kind of flaky? Like you're supposed to help you out on Saturday, and they raise their hand and say, "I'll help," but you kind of know they're not going to be there. They're going to forget, or you're going to have to remind. Anybody know somebody like that? Well, don't be that person for others, but don't be that person for yourself. If you make a commitment, if you say, "Hey, I'm going to class on Wednesday night," go to class. So here's what's happened once you adopt this mindset. You will start raising your level of self-discipline. And the level of self-discipline that you have is in direct relationship to the level of success that you're going to have. Literally. It's just the ability to do what you know you should do even when you don't feel like doing it. Okay? Both my Senior Master Potter and Master Potter have heard this story before, but they're going to hear it one more time, guys. Actually, and that is I'm 10 years old. I get this new job, and that is to mow the lawn. It's so much fun. I think it's the coolest thing ever, man. I mow it. First time I mow it, I have fun. The second time, it's okay. Third, fourth time, it's not so much fun. And after about 5 times, I walk up to my dad. I go, "Dad, I don't want to mow the lawn anymore." And he goes, "Son, you don't have to want to mow the lawn. You just have to mow it." Well, that's what self-discipline is, okay? Is you don't have to do your homework. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to want to practice martial arts, but do it anyway. You'll always be glad you did. Okay. So, and by the way, the key to my word is law is set short-term goals. In other words, set yourself up for success by making short-term commitments over that. Let's just say that I right now, my habit is I eat 3 Snicker bars and 4 Pepsis. I eat 3 Snicker bars every day and 4 Pepsis I drink every day. Now I don't, by the way, just so we're clear, but let's just say that's my habit. Okay. And all of a sudden, I decide my word is law. I'm going to quit all that stuff. Well, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to last a day, maybe 2, and that's going to be it. Willpower only lasts so long. But what I could do is okay, right now, every day I've been having 3 Snickers bars and drinking 3 Pepsis, and I know I should cut that out. So for the next week, I'm going to commit to only eating 2 Snickers bars and drinking 2 Pepsis, and then I'm going to have an apple and some sparkling water instead, and I'm going to commit to that for 1 week. My word is law. Now that's realistic. Can you see how you could do that successfully? Then a week later, you cut it down, and what do you know? In no time, you've got new habits, right? And that's how you develop self-discipline. The next one. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm running my own race. I'm running my own race. What the heck does that mean? Well, tell the truth. How many guys ever compare yourself with somebody else? I know I've done it plenty of times. Yeah, okay. How many guys, when it comes to martial arts, ever compare yourself with another student, like someone that's younger, more flexible, or maybe older, more powerful? Okay, all right. Okay, here's one for the older people. How many guys wish you would have started when you were younger? Well, suck it up. You didn't. You started when you started. And I'll show you why they did. I'm picking on Sarah. Is that Sarah there? Yes. Is that most people, the reason why we wish we'd started, we're comparing ourselves with a younger version of ourselves or someone else in the class. But either way, in 5 years, you'd be glad you trained for the next 5 years. That's all. So next time you find yourself comparing to somebody else, just kind of, man, just bring yourself back to the moment. Because what happens is there's always going to be someone younger and faster, just like there's going to be someone older and slower, all right? You guys have all heard the phrase, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, guess what? The grass is greener where you water it. What does that mean? Just focus on what you're doing. They say if you were able to walk in another person's shoes for a mile, you'd quickly want your own shoes back. So the next time you find yourself comparing yourself with other people, do the best you can. Just, man, run your own race. I got 3 more. This one is, I have so much to be thankful for. I have so much to be thankful for. So this is we all know the importance of gratitude. This is nothing new. This is something you all are aware of. Maybe some of you practice it a little bit more on purpose than others, but I want to share a story with you that's something that happened to me just a few weeks back. So right in the middle of the end of February of this year, I went on a 3-week seminar tour. I went to Australia, then New Zealand, and then the UK. And I actually had my trip. I was in the UK, and my trip was cut short because of COVID-19, and they're closing the borders. So I was supposed to do 4 days of seminars there, and I only was 1 day. And I had to catch a plane to make sure I could make it back to America before they closed things off. And I was at the airport, and it was very, very surreal. It was just like, for example, on one particular plane, before we could get off the plane, there was people in hazmat suits coming on the plane with checking our temperatures before we could get on. It was really a bizarre time. But I was in Birmingham, UK, United Kingdom, waiting to take a plane from there to Amsterdam and then back to America. And the plane was going to board in about 10 minutes. And there was a group of college-age kids in front of me that had their semester abroad visas revoked. And there were 7 or 8 of them, and they were laughing and talking back and forth amongst themselves. And all of a sudden, this one girl realizes she left her phone back at the food court. How many guys ever lost your phone? Or your wallet? Or your keys? You know the feeling, right? And you could feel her all of a sudden panic and anxiety just kind of hit her. You know, her hands went up to her head. She took a deep breath, and she's like, oh my goodness. And remember, imagine she's about to go on a plane home. She's never going to see this phone again. It's going to be in another country. That's going to be it, right? So she's understandably very anxious. And so a guy that's with her, her boyfriend, goes, I'll go back and I'll go look for it. So he races off. And for the next 10 minutes, you know, she's trying to calm herself down, and her friends are trying to calm her down, but she is stressing out royally, and understandably so. So now the gate attendant, the gate agent, you hear the speaker comes on, everybody get ready to board the plane, you know, that's going on, and the anxiety's raising, and all of a sudden, guess who comes running back right as they're about to board the plane? Boyfriend, phone in hand, big smile on his face. And of course, she just gives him this big hug, and you can see the look on her face. She's in a complete state of awe. She's like, just bliss. She's as happy as you possibly can be. And here's the question. This is why I shared this story with you. A half hour earlier, before she lost her phone, was she in a state of bliss because she had her phone? Was she super happy because she had her phone? Or did she just have her phone? She just had her phone. It took losing it and getting it back for her to really appreciate it. Does that make sense with everybody? This is called amor fati in Stoicism, which means love your life or love your fate. And what that means is that sometimes it's important to remember the 97% of our life that is still great versus focusing on the 3% that's not right. Okay? And that's what that means, is to take some time really to think about all the stuff that you have to be grateful for. All right, I have a couple more I want to go through, and then I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. So this next one has to do with how you interact with others. And it goes like this. I make others feel important when I'm in their presence. I make others feel important when I'm in their presence. What does that mean? How many guys have ever heard of a guy named Chuck Norris? Of course you've heard of Chuck Norris, right? But most of you younger people know him only for Chuck Norris jokes. But your moms and dads will know, is it Bridget? You remember, you're still young, of course, but you remember Chuck Norris, right? Like as a movie star and a TV star, right? Well, he was actually probably at the height of his popularity in the maybe the 90s, right? And so I actually I've met Chuck Norris about a half dozen times, and if I saw him now, he might even still remember my name, although I haven't seen it for 25 years. But anyway, so he was promoting a movie called Sidekicks. Did anybody see that movie? It's a nice movie. It's sometimes you get a chance to watch it. So anyway, and in order for this movie to be successful, what he did is he did a 21 city promotional tour where he would go for over 22 days. He went to 21 cities. And what he would do is he'd show up at a city, go to 3 or 4 movie theaters, sign autographs, shake hands, and hop on a plane and go to another city. And he came to Sacramento on the very last day, on day 22. And because I had a relationship, we got to run security for him. Okay. So I asked his agent, hey, is there any chance Chuck Norris could come by our school before we go to the movie theaters and meet some of my students? And he said, sure, but we only have about a half hour. And so he shows up, and I thought of maybe 50 or 60 people would show up. There was 500 people that showed up to meet Chuck Norris. And there's a line all the way around the school. There's no way he has time to sign autographs or take pictures. But what we decided is we just get this one line, and everybody runs by and says hi to him, maybe shakes his hand. And so my wife is in line, and she goes by, and she's like person 186 or something. She goes, hi, my name is Angelina. I'm Dave's wife. And she goes about her business. So now it's time to leave, to go to the movie theaters. And we have 2 vehicles. There's a SUV that's got 5 black belts in it, and then I get to ride in the limo with Chuck Norris. And so I sneak in the back seat of the limo, and I'm thinking, man, I'm riding in a limo with Chuck Norris. How cool is this? And then he looks over at me, and he says, so Dave, can your wife Angelina join us? He remembered her name. And remember, he just met 500 people. But here's what's interesting. I don't know how many people you can sign autographs for in 5 or 6 hours. I would guess 1,000. However many people that he did, he connected with every one of them. But here was the kicker. At the end of the evening, all right, we were all done. Remember, he's been doing this for 22 straight days. I'm sure he's tired. My guys, my black belts, are all putting away some tables that they're using as barriers for the crowd and talking with the manager of the movie theater. And I'm saying goodbye to Mr. Norris. So he takes off in a limo, then the brake lights go on, and the reverse lights come on. And he drives right back, drives right by me, goes over to where my guys are, rolls down his window. There's another guy by the name of Dave there. He puts his head out the window and he goes, hey, Dave, hey, Mark, hey, Tim, hey, Jeff, hey, Bob, hey, Ken. There we go. I think that was 6, but there was 5. Thanks for helping out. That was great fun. And then he drove off. Think about it. He remembered their names as well. So here's my point. Chuck Norris made everyone he ever comes in contact, and anybody that's met him, it will say the same thing, makes them feel important. And what a lesson. If Chuck Norris can do it, boy, I certainly can do it. And there's a great quote that goes like this. You can judge a person's character by the way they treat the people least important to them. And what that means is you don't just be nice to someone because they're an important person, right? Is that you go out of your way just to treat people with respect. And by the way, it's the right thing to do, but I promise you it will come back and serve you well in your future as well. So I have one more, and that is I bring value to all my relationships. I bring value to all my relationships. And the concept with this is man, whether it be strangers or people you know, how can you bring value if you interact with someone? How could, when you're done interacting, what little thing can you do to make them better because of it? And I want to share another story. This is maybe one of my last stories tonight. And so we live about an hour and a half from San Francisco. And I'm sure anybody been to San Francisco here before, besides the Potters? Okay. All right. So if you go to San Francisco from the mainland, from the west, from the east going west, when you guys think of bridges in San Francisco, you think of the Golden Gate Bridge probably, but actually the main bridge going into San Francisco is called the Bay Bridge. And it's this monster of a bridge. I think it's a toll bridge, and I think there's 16 toll booths across this bridge. It's crazy. And sometimes you have to wait a really long time to get there. And so my wife and I are going in for the day, and I'm not saying I'm impatient, but let me just tell you, I'm ready to be done with this line, and I'm waiting and waiting. Finally, we come up, and I roll down my window to pay my toll, and I'm greeted by this the toll operator that's swaying to the sound of smooth jazz. And she looks at me and she gives me this big smile. And she says, "It is so beautiful today. I hope you have a wonderful time." And she meant it. You could feel it. As I drove off, my wife and I looked at each other. It was so cool. By the way, it was a great day. So now I'm driving back to Sacramento, and there's another toll bridge on the way back. It's called the Crockett Bridge. And now my spider senses, I'm alert and aware. Normally I'd never pay attention to, to the toll booth interaction. But now I'm thinking, oh, I wonder how this person's going to respond. And so the lady that takes my money there, she gives me kind of a dirty look and grunts something to me as she takes my money. And if I could read her mind, I'm envisioning that she's saying, my sister's an architect and here I am wasting my time taking tolls at a toll booth. Two people, same job. What's the difference? My friend at the Bay Bridge, she was bringing value and meaning to a job that would normally not be considered very meaningful. Okay. She was actually living by what's the samurai maxim that goes like this: be like a weed and bloom where planted. What does that mean? You guys ever seen like a dandelion growing between a couple rocks? Like growing, it doesn't complain because it's not getting enough dirt. It just grows. It just does its best, right? And that's what my friend at the Bay Bridge was doing, right? And so she was deciding, hey man, I'm going to bring value to all my relationships. And I'll tell you one thing, I know it affected me in a positive way, and chances are it affected a lot of other people that day. But also, who do you think had enjoyed their job more? The person at the Bay Bridge or the second person? You know the difference as well. And so that's something that anytime you get a chance, you think, man, you're feeling bad. What can I do? Do something nice for somebody else, and you will always benefit from that. So this is what I'd like you guys to do now, is I'm going to go through these really fast. And as I'm going through, I want you to get ready, because I'm going to ask some of you guys which one, which of these do you feel like you do really well? And then I'm going to ask you which ones could you think you could do better. So here we go. The first one, I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. Just make a mental note. I can always do more than I think I can. This challenge will make me stronger. I remain calm even in challenging situations. Aren't you guys impressed with my PowerPoint? I deflect negative energy. I accept positive energy. My word is law. I'm running my own race. I have so much to be thankful for. I make others feel important when I'm in their presence. And I bring value to all my relationships. Now, this is what I'd like you guys to do. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see better. I would like someone to volunteer. Which one of these do you feel like you do pretty good? Is there one here that you saw? Yeah, I do that pretty good. Has anybody got one? I see someone, one of the instructors. I can't tell who you are. Blue shirts. Yeah, hey, sir. Oh, there you are. What's going on, man? Go ahead, unmute yourself. What do you do well?
I said that I am good at staying calm in challenging situations.
Outstanding, man. That will serve you really well. Who's got another one? Come on. Oh, Danny, what do you got, man? Unmute yourself, Danny. Tell me what you got.
Accepting positive energy.
Okay, you're good about, all right, being positive and being around positive people. One more. Justin, is that your hand up or are you just messing with the camera? All right, whoever's with Tiffany there.
I deflect negative energy.
You deflect negative. What is your name?
Jeremy.
All right, hey, Jeremy. So you're pretty good at not accept. You don't let negative stuff get to you very much?
Nope.
Good, man. That's a real gift. I'll tell you what. That's one I struggle with. That's one that I need to work on. I like to talk tough, but like I can handle negativity, but I have a hard time with it. By the way, you teach what you most need to hear. And all the stuff I've been talking about tonight is stuff that I'm working on getting better at. All right, who's got one that you know you could be better at? Has someone got one that they know they could be better at? All right, Sarah, unmute yourself. What do you have?
I said I can get better at running my own race.
Okay. So, that's one that almost everybody tends to be weak on. They start comparing themselves with other people, right? It's very natural to do, but what we see, and this is the problem with social media. We see someone's highlight reel, right? Of all they get a cool pose and it makes it look like other people are doing funner stuff than us. The reality is, chances are and I'll tell you what, I've known a lot of people in my life that they look like their life was perfect, right? Only to find out it wasn't as perfect as I thought. So just every time you do that, just come back and find a way to improve yourself. And that's always a good use of your time. All right, anybody else have one? I see Danny's got his hand back up again. And we'll take one more if anybody's there.
Deflecting negative energy.
Okay, that's one you need to work on more, huh? Okay, very cool. Yes, and Tiffany, what do you got?
I could probably work on my word is my law, I believe, for me.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you're not
I
the
have
only one.
I have a hard time, I mean, some things I follow through with and some things I have a hard time with it, Where did you go?
I get it. If any of these were easy, we wouldn't even have to talk about them. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have to talk about it if they're easy. And that's one that all of us struggle with to a certain degree. I'm really self-disciplined in certain areas, but other areas I'm not as self-disciplined. So I'm working on that one as well. Well, I'll tell you what, I just want to remind you guys of in all my years, I have never, ever, ever heard anybody wish they quit martial arts training. So I would strongly encourage you guys to continue on your martial arts quest. You're so lucky to be a part of such an amazing school with amazing instructors. Now it's just up to you to keep showing up on a regular basis and try your best, and great stuff will happen. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today. Is Master Potter or Senior Master Potter, does anybody have any questions for me before we call it a day, or are we good? All right, man. Train hard, guys. Have a great work. Congratulations on opening back up again. You all have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.